Policing should not be partisan. We don't respond to calls, and I don't care what agency you're in, and look at somebody because they got a bumper sticker on the back of their car and police differently. We police fairly and impartially. Things that are absolutely a must if you want to recruit people and keep them in your organization. The number one thing is to have a sheriff that absolutely supports and takes care of the men and women that work for them. And every single day that I come in, I challenge the commanders that work for me to find ways to make sure that the men and women that are driving around in the marked police cars that are responding to calls and the folks that are walking the tiers of the jail have everything they absolutely need, including support, equipment, and quality of life while they're there working, and quality of life while they're at home. And I promote that constantly, and we constantly meet with individuals from our jail staff and from law enforcement to see what it is they need. And I walk around all the time in the jail. I'm a regular fixture there, and I'm a regular fixture out on the road, asking the men and women that are doing the job every single day, what do you need? Providing them with quality equipment. There's no better equipment in law enforcement than what the Carroll County Sheriff's Office has. I make sure it's done that way, and so do the commissioners that fund me. There's no organization in this country, and I've been around them all, that supports their personnel better than my organization supports them, from me on down to every supervisor in that organization. And there's no better organization that makes sure that the quality of life for the individuals that work day to day, while they're at work and while they're at home, are supported better than the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. So I'm proud of the fact that we support our people, and that's why we have very few openings in our organization. The relationship between the state's attorney and the sheriff doesn't start the day after the election. From the time a crime is committed, whether it's a homicide, really on really serious crimes, the state's attorney's office and the sheriff's office, my investigators, are working very closely together. And the symbolism that myself and the state's attorney are working closely together really pushes down to the rank and file of each organization and makes us extremely productive. Because I'm not having U.S. Marshals come up here and arrest people because they can and they don't work in the community. I'm not having surveyors come up here and go outside of the scope of what the feds have said that they can do. So myself and my command staff on numerous occasions have gone out and intervened in making sure that my constituents don't get arrested by U.S. Marshals, and that the scope of what the district court, the U.S. District Court in Baltimore said, is being adhered to. 287G is a program that I started in the jail a couple of years ago. It was working very well, and it is the area where there is a safe transition. It's an efficient way to transition folks that are wanted by immigration enforcement in our jail to immigration enforcement officers for potential deportation. So also on the heels of that, after they abolished that law, the Community Trust Act is one of the things that actually went into effect today. And myself and all the sheriffs throughout the state had a conference call with Governor Moore this morning so that he can explain to us why he wouldn't sign the bill. He did not sign the legislation. I guess that it was his symbolic way of saying that he's not in favor of it. That we have to file a federal class action lawsuit to protect the constitutional rights of Marylanders, but yet here we are today doing just that. This legislation puts local jurisdictions that are sworn to uphold the Constitution at odds with the federal government. So I firmly believe that the school system is the most important conduit to keeping juvenile crime at bay in this community. I've policed this county for the better part of 37 years. And as far as juvenile crime is concerned, I don't see a tremendous spike in it, but that's because we have relationships in the public school system. My deputies that are in the public school system know these kids, and when something takes place, we know it. If something's about to take place, we know it, and then we can be proactive to stop it. So I firmly believe the public school system does a wonderful job, and that my deputies being integrated into public school system really helps with the issues that other jurisdictions see with the rise in juvenile crime. But one of the things that keeps the jail population low is our pretrial release program. It's taking lower level offenders, drug offenders, DUI offenders, and putting them in a community release model where we track, monitor, and hold those individuals accountable. And I think as of today, there's about 160 people that are in that pretrial monitor program that if they weren't in that program would be in the jail, so the population of the jail would absolutely explode. So for me, over the last several years, it's been adding people to that pretrial monitoring program so that we can get the lower level offenders more productive out on in community, in their jobs, and I'm not paying for medical costs and food and those sorts of things. So there are tactics and techniques and things that you can do to keep your jail population low, and pretrial release absolutely is one of those things. If a small financial penalty on a big box store can stop and slow down the crime and put better policies, then yeah, fine them. Also, I have a private entity which is closing down, thank God, in June, Silver Oak Academy. My deputies have been there in a year and a half over 130 times. 130 times. Hell yeah. Find them and then close them down because they got no business using that amount of resources. So I think if applied appropriately, that put some sort of financial strain on businesses, then yes, it can be done. But when you're talking about local businesses, that's not where the strain is taking place. Mom and pop stores, that's not where it's happening. It's big box stores. It's for-profit entities that are taking money from big government that have no accountability, and they need to be hit in the pockets from time to time. I don't care. You can come in anytime you want and look at my crime statistics. I'm not opposed to that at all. Transparency is key. So sure, come on in. I don't care who you are. I am constantly looking for what the next accomplishment is for my deputies and what I can do day to day to make their lives better so that they go out on the road and in the jails and treat the public with dignity and respect. And as long as I'm doing that and my command staff is doing that, there's goals and objectives that I have that are just entirely too many to sit here and click off. But I promise you they'll get done in the next 4 years because my goals and objectives got done in the 12 years prior to that. The people decide who their sheriff is, and you're accountable to the people. And so I'm not accountable to the governor. I'm not accountable to a legislature. I'm not accountable to a mayor, a council, or an executive. I'm accountable to the people. Number one quality of being a sheriff is that you have the ability to uphold the Constitution. If you can do that, then everything else will fall into place. And that's the number one responsibility of being a sheriff, and I don't care if you're the sheriff in Carroll County or if you're the sheriff in any other county throughout this country, is the ability to uphold the U.S. Constitution. I think one of the other qualities is that you have to have courage. You have the courage to be able to stand up and fight back to the insanity that takes place in Annapolis with the laws that are being pushed on us, and in some cases in Washington, D.C. I'm going to take a little bit of time to thank the men and women that I've worked with over the last 12 years in the sheriff's office. I was a state trooper for 25 years, and I worked with some of the finest men and women I think were on the planet. But boy, did I get a good eye-opening when I became the sheriff, because the men and women that I work with are absolutely second to none. Some of the smartest, most articulate, caring people that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And so for me, I think the last hour has given you a really good insight as to how I've been as the sheriff, and how I'll be over the next 4 years. And finally, instead of sitting here and telling you why you should vote for me, I think my record stands on its own.